Welcome to episode 12 of the Toronto Untitled Blue Jays podcast. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. You can find our website, torontountilt.com. You can find us on Twitter at Toronto Untilt. Of course, the video of this podcast will be posted on YouTube, Toronto Untilt, and of course, every single streaming platform. That's Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Bleaker, Anchor, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, share. This week was not as fun as last week. Last week we were at the highs, and I mean, Tony, you started off with the last positive thing that happened this week.
Yeah, the only good thing that happened was Monday. We thought we kept up the good vibes, after the weekend, after last week. One big win. We had Ryu on the bump, 7 shutout innings. They won 8-0. Everybody was hitting. Semyon had a nice day. Bo Bichette, even Randall hit a home run in garbage time. It was just fantastic. We made Eduardo Rodriguez look like garbage.
11 hits in 5. They hit him around. It was great. Looked like batting practice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Even Danny Jansen, he started it up in the second with his RBI single. But yeah, it was a really good first game. We felt great. We're like, see, Boston, fueled by this easy schedule. We're ready for them, and we saw the rest.
I still think that, even though we didn't prove it, I still think that they are inflated.
It took how many walks and then a dinger to JD Martinez from Rafael? Like, think about what had to happen for the Jays to lose that series.
We can get through it naturally. But.
Yeah, I mean, Theo, you want to take over with game 2?
We'll go to game 2. The game 2 is Wednesday. Jays lose 7-3. The Red Sox. Ross Stripling made the start and pretty much undid all of the goodwill he built up against the Braves. 5-run first inning, pretty much told the tale. He pitched 3 2/3 innings, giving up a bunch of hard hit balls, and the wind was blowing very much that night. On offense, looked like we were going to be in for a slugfest with Richard on the mound, but he settled in after the first inning. Gave the Red Sox 6 2/3 innings with just 2 runs. Semyon hit a 2-run shot after Richards came out of the game, but it wasn't nearly enough. Jay's pen looked all right in cleanup duty with Thornton, Beasley, and Cole throwing the remaining 5 1/3 innings.
And that was the end of the bullpen looking good.
It was, but also that day, we learned that Manoah was being moved to pitch on Ross Stripling days, which tells you something maybe.
That was kind of strange. We talked about it, I mean, we'll get to it when we talk to the roster moves that happened this week. I kind of figured, I'm like, well, if you're going to line anyone up, I guess it's K. But I think there might be another reason for that. I think we'll get to that later. But yeah, it was interesting that they decided to line him up with Stripling, who's a guy that we talked about as that's the guy that should be your long man out of the bullpen. So it's almost like, oh, is that the plan? But we'll see.
At this rate, Stripling will get closing opportunities soon.
Don't
put that
you guys left to have to get injured.
Everyone's getting a shot, yeah.
Hey, Joe Piamps is a goddamn fucking hero.
Dude, I was so excited about him when I saw what he did this weekend, and it just all got pissed away.
We might as well just start getting into it. Tony, you start us with where it all went bad.
Yeah, this game was a very disappointing one. They
didn't start that way though.
It started off good. A couple runs in the first. Vlad hit the RBI double, and then Grichuk did that too. Hit another one as well. But Steven Matz had the bad second inning, but he gave up 5.
Yeah.
5 runs, the 3-run home run. JD Martinez drove in a run. Common theme during this series, but surprisingly, Steven Matz didn't give up anything else the rest of the game, and he ended up pitching into the 6th inning.
Yeah, settled down.
He went 6. Yeah,
settled down, gave them the length that they needed. The offense came back to help bail him out.
And he was having a bunch of 7-8 pitch innings, and then that 140 pitch inning.
Yeah,
it was just
completely fucked it all up.
Yeah,
so they had the big lead. They were up 7-5 going in the 9th inning, and then Dolise stepped in and had a few problems.
And dear God, did he look good in his last appearance? So you figured, hey, he's off the IL and he's good again. He's back to maybe, pitching him in back-to-back nights was probably not the best idea coming off the DL. But hey, I mean, Charlie's made a lot. We'll get to the bunting.
Yeah.
Charlie has done a lot worse things than that Dolis situation, but it just now you're starting to get to the point where it's like, hey, remember when everyone kept saying that Charlie's so great with the bullpen? Do you want that take back? Do you want that take back? Because he's not.
It's easy to look great when everything is working out. When no matter who
Every
you put
reliever
in,
is coming through for you. Yeah, exactly. When the random dudes who shouldn't be out there are striking guys out. Yeah, of course it looks fine.
As they say about every manager, it's like, well, look how great they are with the bullpen. They're the best bullpen ERA. What a coincidence that this guy's running the show.
The least button, because you can tell, like after the first couple pitches, when he doesn't have it, to just hit it and just get him off the mound. Because
although you can't do that anymore with the 3-batter rule.
with the 3 pitching shit, but it is
back in the day. Exactly, you could have been like, ooh. Next guy.
There is no middle ground with him, and that's the problem with having him in high leverage spots.
He's lights out or he walks the world. That's really, you know what I mean? It's like, and for a guy who has stuff that moves like Dolis moves, that's kind of going to happen. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't know where it's going when he throws it.
He didn't walk anyone in that outing, though. He just got hit.
No, it was all singles. I thought he walked 2 guys and then allowed the JD Martinez dinger. I guess I'm confusing it with.
I'm seeing 0 walks.
Yeah, Bobby and Chavis hit singles, and then
okay. I thought it was
strikeout, ground out.
I thought he allowed the walks, got those outs, and then allowed the dinger to JD. But I guess the walks are just, so a little bit of PTSD from today.
Yeah.
We can get into the Rays series on Friday.
Go for it, Theo. Take us there. Take us out.
On Friday, Jays lost a heartbreaker, 9-5 in 12 innings. Anthony Kay made the start, pitched 4 innings, 2 earned. Pretty much what you get from Anthony Kay. He was battling something on his hand.
They said a blister. They kept saying a blister, and that's another thing where it's like maybe that's why he got sent down. Maybe he isn't able to make his next start. But
probably, yeah.
We'll see.
Offensively, a 2-home run day for Vlad. Simeon was a single short of the cycle for about 3 at-bats. Couldn't get that through.
How did you not just feel like at some point, like when he came up to bat in extra innings, you're like, yo, he's definitely going to hit the single to complete the cycle and win the game?
They couldn't get a base runner for like 7 innings.
No, from the 5th inning on, it was really tough.
God.
We can go, and then the pen in this game. This is really when your pen issue started to. You saw the good, the bad, and the ugly from the pen in this one.
Yeah.
The bad, Bergeron and Cole giving up home runs in relief. But then you had a glut of the game where you had Romano, Meza, Chatwood, Payamps, who threw 5 straight spectacular innings, including Payamps.
That Payamps, oh my God, it was phenomenal. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Theo.
Sorry, no, two extra innings, which means you already got a guy on second base. This guy was able to come in and give us 2 shutout innings and extra innings. And we'll get to the main talking point of what Charlie Montoya is to this baseball team. He's an overthinker and a stubborn person, in my opinion, because was it the 11th inning or the 12th inning? I think it was the 11th inning with Espinal. You had a guy on first and second. You have infielders crashing in from first and third base. A guy you cannot bunt standing there. And you ask him to bunt 3 straight times.
And I've never seen a team bunt this much in the American League with 2 strikes. Like the only time I've seen this happen this many times is with a fucking pitcher bunting. I'm serious. The only time I've seen bunting with 2 strikes. How many times are we at? Are we at 4 times this fucking season already?
I don't think it's ever worked, though. Has it ever worked for him in his career?
Here's the thing. The only reason they do it in the National League is because they're like, well, it's a pitcher. He's like, realistically, he has a better chance of accidentally getting the bunt down than he does of getting a hit. So sure, keep the bunt on with 2 strikes. The fact that you have these guys who, again, should Espinal know how to bunt? Yes, he should. But if he can't do it, don't ask him to do it. And when you get to 2 strikes, take the fucking bunt off. That is basic baseball. I'm sorry. That is basic baseball. Right now, the fucking bunt with 2 strikes, like what the fuck are you doing? Like that is the infuriating thing with Charlie. Like what is that? Please explain to me who thinks that's a good idea. That's like the only thing that people, analytics people and old school baseball people agree with. You don't bunt with 2 strikes.
And even looking at that at bat, like it looked like he was faking the first time where he was like bunt and pull back. You're like, okay, cool. It actually nothing going here. with how far they're crashing in, even if you fake the first bunt and have them just steal the bases, like they're in on you at that point. Like Espinal, like they were at his fucking at circle.
You're looking at a potential double play at that point, especially with a guy who doesn't know how to bunt.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm trying to think of why that was done. Like, can you give me a positive reason for that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because we're all here nitpicking like why you shouldn't do it. Do either of you have like, can you look at that situation and be like, yeah, I see this is why they did it.
That they don't
They
trust
really wanted. They really wanted a sacrifice. They really wanted it. They gave him 3 shots at it.
They trust fucking Jonathan Davis to hit, and he's hitting 160. Is he hitting 160 still, or is he in the 150s now?
It's something garbage like that. Yeah.
Like
it's my problem with Montoya is I think he's so stubborn and he does not look at his personnel when he asks him to do shit. Like you can get mad at Major League Baseball players not being able to bunt, whatever. Like people will get mad at that, but you have to know your personnel in this situation. You got 100%. Holes all over the fucking field. Even I was looking at Bucket Bat, I'm like, they were right. There's holes over the fucking field. You got nobody out, 2 on. Like just let him swing away there and especially with 2 strikes, it's like there's no way he's getting it. He didn't look close. Not
to mention, who are you setting that up for? Reese McGuire?
Yeah.
No, seriously, you were bunting because, like, what are we doing here? It's not like it was the 9-hitter bunting so that Semien is at the, you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, well, there's 1 out, but we're back at the top of the order with guys on 2nd and 3rd. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like bunting, I hate bunting, and I joke that you should never bunt, but there are times that it does make sense to lay down a bunt. There's very limited amount of them. And Charlie's supposed to be the analytics guy, and Charlie loves this dumb shit. And we talked about this before the season even started. How quickly were we going to be done with Charlie Montoya? And we're there.
I put my hand up. Going in to, I think it was Wednesday's game, I almost texted our group chat, man, Charlie hasn't really fucked up much this season. And I'm glad I didn't, because ever since then, it's been shit.
I would say that screenshot probably would have been the thumbnail for this video. I'm not joking.
Martinez is Chris Davis. People don't forget. But I also, we should say, I forgot to mention this. There. I forgot one thing about this game. It was the bottom of the 12th or the top of the 12th after we did not get that run in the 11th. Beasley comes on in. Looked like he was going to get through this inning, and then we had a few intentional walks, grand slam to the catcher, which sealed the game.
Gross. Just gross.
I thought it was maybe the grossest game of our season until, a couple days later.
I guess we'll get Tony. Do you want to do Saturday before we get to the oh God.
Yeah, Saturday, the lack of offense continued. They only scored 1 run in the entire
Robbie
game.
Ray, excellent again.
A great Robbie Ray start. He only gave up 1 run over 7. He went 7 innings.
You can't ask for much more.
No, you can't. You're not going to win that way. Only scoring 1 run. Castro came in and gave up a run as well. That put him ahead, and no offense to speak of against who the Rays were throwing out there. McClanahan, he does throw longest from the left side. He's pretty good. That was the first time he went 5 innings. They've been holding him back a lot.
Kind of trying to stretch him out because they called him out. They called him up when he wasn't fully stretched out, so he's making those. He made a 2-inning start, then a 3-inning start. Like it was they're kind of stretching him out at the big league level. He is nasty, but at the same time, he throws 102, but guys have taken him. He had a 4.4 something ERA for a reason. They hit Glasnow twice. They beat the hell out of Glasnow.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's right-handed heavy lineup. You'd think,
would have been able to get something going, but yeah.
You know what's crazy about this Ray thing too? Like, if you told us that Ray was going to be this, you would think this we would have a great rotation because
that's the thing exactly.
A couple other things, but Matz has been above water and Ray has been great, and you'd think, and we still need another guy, maybe 2 guys.
That's right. It's ridiculous. And Ryu's been exactly as advertised.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? He's been an ace, which is what he did again today until they fucked it up. Theo, you want to just get right into that?
Yeah, we'll get into today's game. Jays collapse in the 9th again.
In the most painful way possible. Pain. But yes, sorry.
6-4 today. Ryu, start again. 6 2/3, just 2 runs. Everything you need from him. On offense,
even I was actually listening too. He actually asked Charlie to go back into the game to get into that 7th inning because they had left-handed batters coming, and he said He essentially told him, I got this. And they let him go back out there, and it worked. And I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Theo.
He just didn't want to see the bullpen come out again.
Yeah, that's exactly. Ryu knew what was up, and it was like, Charlie, I got it. Don't make the call down to the bullpen. I've got it.
On offense, though, well, we got some positives. The Teoscar Hernandez show taking off again. He is absolutely on fire. Homered in the 4th to tie the game at 1, and then hit an RBI single in the 5th to tie it at 2. Game stayed tied until the bottom of the 8th when Randall Grichuk. Every time I feel like getting off the Randall train, this guy seems to hit a home run or does something big. 2-run shot by Randall to give us a 4-2 lead. Looked like it was going to be enough until it wasn't. Got into the top
nightmare
of the
fuel.
And the most reliable reliever we've had, I think you can argue that Tyler Chatwood has been the most reliable we've had
all season. Yeah. Yep.
Unravels completely. Ends up leaving the bases loaded with 2 outs. I think he walked in the tying run. Or not tying run, walked in the 4-3
Well, he walked,
run.
yeah.
And then they brought in Bergen, and that guy looked as unprepared for coming in that situation as anybody I've ever seen. Walked 3 straight guys.
Yeah, and, that was the problem with a guy who basically only throws fastballs. You know what I mean? And has to try to pinpoint it because he throws 92. And he was trying to do that with the bases loaded. And it did not go well.
And everything was missing up. The Rays were like laughing. They were like, we're not going to swing at this shit. Like, what are we going to do?
And that looked like a tired, because Travis Bergen had actually been pretty good for the Jays the last little while.
Very good, yeah.
That looked like he was gassed when you start missing up that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where you're not finishing your pitches and everything is up. And it's just like, well, you're sitting there watching it being like, oh, I know exactly what's about. I know what's coming.
Yeah. And speaking of that, because we're talking about Bergen being tired, we had a guy in the bullpen who maybe isn't, he's had good numbers this year, maybe hasn't pitched as well as he did last year. Romano, who wasn't used today and is leaving everyone scratching their heads. I know they want the lefty-lefty matchup, but I think there must be something deeper there.
We talked about that when he came out of that one game where they're like, oh no, it was scheduled after a certain amount of pitches that he wasn't going to pitch. And it's like, he threw 101 and then threw 95. I'm sorry, when they're both the exact same fucking pitch, a 6-mile-an-hour difference is a big deal. But no, he's not hurt. And then we're going to use him, but then not use him on back-to-back. Like, so something's up with him that you don't want to use him on back-to-back days or whatever. I just, yeah.
I don't
like. We've also talked about how I don't believe anything they say in terms of injuries, like at all. So who the fuck knows what's going on? Yeah, Castro's back, but he was a waiver claim that we were getting super excited about because it was like everyone's hurt, but holy shit, he's actually doing it. So cool. So we'll see if he can get any of that back.
So we need that.
Let's just say Romano isn't available again. How do you handle the next 9th inning the Jays have? Like, what do you do?
You almost have to go back to Dolis.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Who else do you like? At least he's got a track record. You know what I mean?
Throw in there.
But do you really want to do that? It's not like he's coming off a great outing, right? Like that's the thing. Like it's not like he is coming off a great outing, and it's like, well, you go Piams? Do you jump that much off of one outing? Do you stick him above Dolis because of one outing? I don't think so. Like that's the problem. Is it's such a hodgepodge of just the dudes that are okay. You know what I mean? The ones that are healthy, and then the ones that didn't throw fucking 30 pitches the day before. It's such a mess.
Yeah, they're so compromised at this point. Like there aren't options.
Yeah, like that's basically why I'm sticking with Dolis, because it's like, well, at least you know that he's done it before. So that's the problem.
We also should address Biggio, who
a spine injury.
Usually not a good thing to hear.
And they said he was playing through it for a bit too.
Yeah. Now, the cervical spine was like the actual thing that I was reading. And if you remember, that's actually the exact same injury that Osuna had. It's more of a neck kind of area. But hopefully he's okay. I know for Osuna, it was like a 10-day thing and he was back. Now, again, it was a 10-day thing. He was back and he was throwing 93 because remember, that was when that was happening. So let's just hope that Biggio, who's had his hands beat up and had so many problems, was finally, getting the average there. Getting the on base was there, bringing the average up. He was kind of rolling into form, and it's just another roadblock for the guy. And it's
his first IL stint ever, though, like his whole career, apparently. He's
Oh
never been on
shit!
the
So
IL.
even in the minors, yeah, like
No,
that.
never.
Well, that's the thing. He's been a durable dude. He's been able to play. So you hope it's a minor thing. It takes 10 days and he can come back, because this team just they need every healthy body they can get.
The one thing I'll say though is that watching Espinal at third base has been kind of fun. Like he
plays a
pretty
really good
reliable.
defensive third base.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of nice to have. Like when a ball's hit the third, you expect to make the play now. So,
And
but again,
when everyone's back, Rowdy Tellez can't hit. So I want Espinal on the team because at least he provides a function.
Yeah. I got a couple of important questions. Okay, first off, why did we wear blue jerseys the whole weekend? And number two, why were the Rays wearing the same navy blue jerseys every day? So the colors, we were both wearing blue every game.
That's a good question. I don't know who agreed on that, because I know it's something that you agree upon before the series. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to have both teams that wear blue, that have other colors, by the way.
Yeah, they have multiple uniforms. Yeah.
Exactly. It was like, why isn't someone wearing gray or white, or, the various things that are available to both of these teams, along with the powder blue and the navy blue? The Jays have the dark, like the royal blue, and the Rays have the navy blue. They both have a powder blue jersey.
Yeah, I don't get it.
There's so many options. What the fuck are we doing here?
They just stopped wearing the white jerseys on was it like Wednesday? Was like the last time they wore white, and they've worn blue ever since.
There's also weird things where teams do that. Remember when the Jays got on a roll in, I think it was 2014. It was before they actually got hot. It was like the weird Munenori Kawasaki season where they kept like randomly being in contention, but they never really were. Where they just stopped wearing the gray jerseys and they just wore the blue jerseys for like the last 3 months of the season because they were hot. They felt they were lucky or whatever. So that's another weird thing that fucking happens.
Like the Team Canada jerseys on Sundays, how they stopped doing that.
Oh yeah, that's
because they lost like every Sunday. They were like 1-9.
What was Ryan Goen said he cut? Did they say he cut the jersey or burned the jersey? It was so funny because he like made a joke about like burning the jerseys because they literally never wanted them.
Tony, maybe they're trying to sell some more blue jerseys in the clubhouse or in the pro shop.
Those are probably the most popular ones, I would say.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah. That's a good thing to notice, actually. I don't remember the jerseys like right after the game's done. I forget what color they were wearing. You could have asked.
That's why I'm here. I always remember that.
And also,
Tony's here for the small details.
We should say we're finally out of this fucking Dunedin. We're going to Buffalo, which I never thought I'd want to go back to that stadium.
Right?
Seeing
but
the
Salem
crowds...
Field is just okay. Before we talk about just Salem Field looks even more like a big league stadium. It's definitely a minor league stadium because there's nothing in center field. But like, Theo, do you wanna start the fire and I'll burn the house down, or do you want me to start it with this whole fucking the away fans in Dunedin? Because that is infuriating. Because not only are you getting like "Go Sox Go" chants, like the Jays suck chant was the end of like that was kind of like. Remember when everyone was like, "Oh, Marcus Semien doesn't like playing here"? That's kind of weird. Does anyone think Marcus Semien was fucking wrong now?
He's just got a bunch of drunk Floridians. Is that how you say that? Just screaming at him. That's your home field advantage.
Not to mention, there's the Florida man, that meme. Like, there's a reason that exists. They're not the smartest people on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Canadian government has their issues. They should be sending a group of Jays fans to just live in that complex for a month. Like, is it actually affecting us? I'm not a big home field, whatever, but it's just to hear it on TV, just an eruption of cheers every time the opposing team does something. I feel like it has some kind of an impact.
Well, it makes it feel more minor league than just the fact that you're looking at a minor league stadium. You're watching the home team have their fans cheer against them. Like, it isn't a good look. There's really there's no better way to put it. Like, there's no way to put any lipstick on this pig. It's just ugly. So you hope that when they go to Buffalo, it gets better.
What's the limits going to be? Is it like 100%? Because the state of New York, I think, is starting to be 100% for a lot of their stadiums.
I don't think it's going to be 100, but they'll definitely be letting a decent amount of fans in. I'm trying to think because they're upstate New York. I'm trying to wonder how it actually works. I have to look that up, actually.
I think the whole state goes by the same rules, which is why they get annoyed when they have like New York City running everything. But I would think there'd be a lot more Jays fans because in that area you could have a lot of people in Buffalo, I would assume, follow the Jays at least somewhat closely. But
I'm trying to look if they have anything posted. Blue Jays returning. Field operating at 24% capacity. This was on May 5th from The Score.
That was a month ago.
With Salem Field opening at 24% capacity. So that was 2 weeks ago.
It's a low number.
Dude, I'd rather have no fans actually than just visiting fans at this point, though.
Yeah, it's
probably. Yeah,
it's going to be ugly when you play the Yankees. Although the Yankees hate playing there so much that it almost doesn't matter because it gets in their heads. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we had a winning record against them last year there, I think.
Yeah, because they kept bitching about how the pitchers couldn't see the signs, and it's just like, so is it the pitcher's fault, or is it the fact that Gary Sanchez is just a terrible catcher? You know what I mean? Like, is it that you can't see the signs, or is it that Gary Sanchez just doesn't know how to call a game?
He's their backup now, right?
I'm pretty sure that Kyle Higashioka has taken over for them. Every once in a while, though, Gary Sanchez still hits a dinger. Actually, let's see how Gary Sanchez is doing this year, because I still don't think it's very good.
Yeah, I think it's almost an even split at this point.
Let's pull this up. Gary Sanchez is hitting a whopping 186 with a 314 on base. 677 OPS, but he has 5 dingers, so it's basically only dingers. I mean, it's better than his 147 average last year and his 253 on base.
Yeah. Well, their pitching is really on a roll right now. Pretty much everyone they're throwing out there is lights out.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It feels like Montgomery, when he pitches at home, no matter who it's against, he pitches well. But when it's on the road, it's just the opposite. He has nights where he looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball, and then he has other nights where he can't get out of the second inning. You know what I mean? Like, as a Yankees fan, he must be infuriating.
Yeah, Kluber throwing like
a fucking no-hitter
already.
No one cares.
Against another trash.
Doesn't really count anymore.
That's a second on the Rangers this year.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. Well, the Rangers have allowed 2, the Indians have allowed 2, and the Mariners have allowed 2. So
no, I think it's Mariners 1.
The 6 total. 6
Mariners
total.
2.
So it's 2 each.
Bumgarner 1 doesn't count.
It should be 7. And the funny thing is, the big league record for no hitters in a season is 7.
Yeah, very interesting.
They're definitely not doing anything to the baseball as these pitchers.
No, not at all.
But
not the pitchers. The baseball was, they juiced the ball, and there's a whole lot of other stuff. But
we should just kind of get to the, back to the Jays. And are we concerned now with how this division is starting to take off, and we're kind of spinning our tires here? And it feels like this is a huge week. Yeah,
I mean, I still don't have faith in Nick Pivetta and Garrett Richards, and you know what I mean? The bodies that the Red Sox throw out there. The Rays we always talk about as being good, and they have the Jays numbers, but really the Jays, think about what they had to do to lose this series. You know what I mean? Like, the Jays are at the worst case scenario. Like, they've been hurt since day one, and it's just gotten worse, and they're still above 500. This is a doom and gloom week because they literally lost today in the ugliest fashion possible, and they've lost in some disgusting ways this week. But overall, you're still looking at this team of that's the 17th guy that guy was supposed to be at AAA. You know what I mean? Some of these guys are non-roster invitees that weren't supposed to be on the team. So it's kind of where we're at with
that. It's a tough thing where it's like, have they kind of overachieved to this point?
Oh, they 100% overachieved. But now you're hoping that, as they start to fade, you get back a Merriweather. You get back a Hatch into the starting rotation, which could maybe push Stripling into the – you start to get guys back. That means that all the guys that overperformed, you're not even leaning on them anymore. They're either in lower leverage roles or, honest to God, we've talked about this, that they have a 40-man crunch. There's a bunch of these guys are getting waived. A bunch of these guys are getting DFA'd because they just don't have the room when guys come off the 60-man. So I'm not super worried. Again, because I look at the Red Sox and I'm like, I don't think that's sustainable. I look at the Rays and I'm like, I don't know what you are other than a bunch of just fucking, do you know what I mean? Smoke and mirrors.
They trade away pieces and get better. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but can they hit? Let's be honest. Can the Rays hit?
And we always ask that question though.
Yeah, but normally you can look at guys and you're like, well, will you? You can look at guys, and this year it's like Joey Wendell, and he only plays against righties because he's a lefty.
Has been okay.
He's been fine, but he hasn't hit for any power.
Great week. He had an amazing week last week.
Yeah, but he hasn't. The power hasn't been there when he was tearing it up in the postseason last year.
Choi.
Meadows.
who just came back. G-Man Choi he's hitting 500, but he's like 7 for 14. Meadows is the only other guy that I say you can consistently look at and be like, that's the guy that you should expect to be that good consistently.
Well, if they get grand slams from Mejia, like, then they're fine.
Well, that's another guy though that like you expect that from him, right? Like the problem is when they call up Wander Franco and they stop fucking around with this Wall guy and they don't call up Brujan. That's another guy. Well, he's been on their 40, so he's probably coming up before Franco.
Yeah.
But eventually, when they finally just give Wander Franco his run, that's when it's going to get scary because Wander Franco, like, for Jays fans, like, this is the Rays version of Vladdy coming up. This is their Fernando Tatis Jr. This is the guy that could be. It's not like here's a top prospect. It's like here's the best prospect in all of baseball. It's not really close, and this guy's like a game changer. So that's where it gets scary for the Rays if he comes up and lives up to the hype, because then that team starts to get scary because the way that they mix and match and just make it work. If you have another dude who's just a monster in the middle of that order, like now Tampa becomes dangerous.
Like we knew what we were signing up for this year. We knew the AL East was going to be difficult, and right now we're seeing that.
Well, we kind of figured that the Rays and Red Sox would be on our level at this point, and then we'd be paddling with them. Now it feels like, okay, this Rays team is skyrocketing with, that asset and coming up, and we are getting hurt. It feels like we're getting more and more hurt every day.
Well, you just got to hope that they can tread water until the bodies come back. Everything goes to where it's supposed to be. And then you're looking at the Rays and the Red Sox, and you're like, no, we're better than them. We're deeper at every position, right? Like in the bullpen, in the starting rotation. Like, that's just the issue you're staring at with this Jays team. It's just now the injuries have just gone beyond the pale because, you know what I mean? When now you're also losing the random guys in the bullpen that were producing, it's just at some point you were going to call up somebody who wasn't going to work. You know what I mean? At some point you were going to run out of magic. And that's kind of what happened this week. And it sucked. I'm trying to be positive and look at the bigger picture, but like this week fucking sucked.
A few different bounces, we could have been really happy. Could have been like, yeah.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
We're sick.
Dolis doesn't give up that dinger to JD Martinez. There's a win, and you win today, and you're looking at this week, and you're like, actually, you went 500. It ain't that bad, right? Like you were right there. Now, again, then there's also like the extra inning game where you're bunting with 2 strikes, and maybe you're even over 500 if Charlie Montoya is not a fucking idiot, but. This is where we are now, boys. We
got to look ahead. We got to stay positive.
Exactly. No, that is exactly it. You have to look ahead.
The Jays are going to turn around. The Leafs are going to win the Stanley Cup. Everything's going to start turning around in Toronto.
Hey, Phil Mickelson just won a major. Anything is possible.
Unbelievable. Who do we play next week?
We got
I was literally pulling it up right now.
Yarbrough and Stripling tomorrow, this is why you wanted to win today. You had Rio going. We're not going to make negative though. We're going to
and then you play the Yankees.
And then the Indians can't hit, so we're fine.
No, exactly. The problem is the Yankees, and what you're hoping is that the Yankees, we've talked about this, they don't have a starting rotation. So sure, they got hot this week, but do you trust that that's going to get maintained?
It should be okay. We'll see. It's not going to be a walk in the park.
To me, the Yankees rotation until they go get someone else is Garrett Cole and everybody else.
Is Cole's is he even going to pitch? Because he pitched on Saturday.
I think he pitched yesterday, so I don't think he's pitching against the Jays.
All right, well, that would be nice.
Do the Yankees play Monday?
Very nice.
Do the Yankees play Monday?
Let me take a look here.
No, they don't. Okay, so.
I don't think they're going to start skipping guys and going with a form. You know what I mean?
Playoffs. Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
Not this early in the season, and I don't think you're going to put that kind of workload on Garrett Cole in May when you're going to need to do that late in the season, I think, from this Yankees team because they don't have the pitching. They're going to need to skip guys and use the days off to make sure that Cole gets extra starts. So I don't think that's something you're going to want to try to like push hard for at this point of the season. So hopefully the Jays can avoid him. That'd be fucking be a little bit of luck we could use.
Yeah.
Anything else that you boys wanted to get to today?
I got nothing.
I guess the only thing I'll mention is, hey, Alek Manoah pays attention to our Twitter because he liked one of our tweets. That's fucking
He's
cool.
Obviously a fan. He's obviously watching. And that's why we say positive things about him.
Exactly. So don't worry. We are all on the Alek Manoah train who could come up this week.
You
We
think he's
talked
coming
about
up?
him a lot. So
What day do you
I
think
hope
he's coming up? If you had to make a prediction right now.
If I had to make with K being gone, I almost wonder if that's the spot in the rotation he's going to take.
That's against New York. His first game in Yankee Stadium would be a real welcome to Major League Baseball.
I could see them avoiding that, but remember the first time he was going to face big leaguers in the spring training was against the Yankees, and he destroyed them.
he did.
I almost you don't want to give that to a kid for his first start, but I almost wonder if they're trying to throw him into the fire since they've done that to him at every level and he's been good. You know what I mean? Like in spring, it was like, okay, we'll give you the Yankees. And it wasn't like you got their major league roster, but you got a couple of their starters and he was lights out. And then it was like, oh, you've never pitched above A ball? AAA. Lights out. So you wonder, it's like, is this what they're doing with him? Are they just throwing him in all these situations?
We've already fucked up Pearson. Now we got another guy.
We already broke one of them.
Let's see how unbreakable you are.
I would guess that there's some sort of plan. I don't think it's going to be this week. I don't think Manoah is going to come up for K, but it's very possible. Like,
well, the alternative is a bullpen game. So
we love those. We have no.
Honestly, with the state of the bullpen, I think it might have to be Manoah.
I love me a Trent Thornton 3-inning outing.
Unless they try to stretch his ass out. But they can't because he kind of needs to be in the bullpen because they don't really have any other.
It's like, oh shit, Stripling went 2 innings again. All right, we got to get you fucking up there.
Like, yeah, you might almost have to take Manoah and just be like, just give us whatever you can give us. Go as long as you can. Like basically what they did with Pearson and just hope it goes better.
How close is Hatchie still rehabbing?
He made his first start this week, but he only went 3 innings.
Okay.
So it's his very first start while they stretch him out. And with Hatch, you have to wait until his date that he can be activated off the 60, which I believe is
end of May, right?
I think it's the first week of June. I don't know why June 7th is a day that I keep thinking of, but I believe it's right in and around there. It's in the first week of June. So he's at least got one more start in the minors just before he's even allowed to be activated. That's why I don't think it's going to be Hatch right off the hop. Although I could be wrong, and hey, fuck, maybe he is active. Like he is eligible to be active. But I know they moved him later. Like he went on the 10-day IL and then was moved to the 60 to free up a roster spot. Like in the season, which is why I think it's like the beginning of June that he's going to be able to be.
I thought those were retroactive though. Like when you put him on the 60.
It depends on what day they put him on. If they put him on the 10, then that's one thing. But the 60,
and then they had to move him to the 60.
Yeah, so that changes it. If they put him on the 60 day right away, then
I think there's something in there because again, I know for a fact it's the beginning of June, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly like where in the beginning. I'm trying to think about how it happened.
We're not going to look it up, people. We're just going to tell you a bunch of maybes. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's it though.
Yeah. It was a rough week. There's really not much to say about other than that. It was a rough week. It sucked. There's a reason they play 162 of these things, though. You're going to have weeks like this. You're going to have a week where just everything goes wrong and it sucks. The good thing is everything went wrong. It sucks and they're still above 500. You know what I mean? Like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and this is still a team that's above 500. So it could be worse, as much as nobody wants to hear that right now. It is true. But that's it for this episode of the Toronto Untitled Blue Jays podcast. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. Check us out, our website, torontoontilt.com. You can find us on Twitter at TorontoOnTilt. The video of this podcast will be on YouTube. And, of course, the audio is available everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. And, dear God, I hope they have a better week this week. See you guys next week.
Bye.